Okay, about our list, I was gonna say I didn't really limit it to 10 or anything because with them being upcoming, and I don't see a lot of the trailers or read into it too much, just because I like a surprise every now and then. I just thought, whatever fills up the time, sort of thing, for the
Are you just
segment.
saying you have a bunch of honorable mentions? Is what you're saying?
They all kind of feel like honorable mentions because, like I said, I don't have a lot to say about so many of them. So it's like, oh yeah, this one looks good, and then you just want to chat about each one as it comes up. Because I mean, if you're going to talk horror, then you're going to have a lot to say, I'm sure, about directors and actors and whatnot for you, David. And then Tony, I'm not sure about your list. I didn't really get to talk to you about that.
I think mine's a little more. It's a little artsy,
Oh,
but it's mainly horror based. I would say.
what percentage range are they? A24.
Only one A24.
Oh,
No, I'm
okay.
sorry, two. There's two.
Oh, two out of three. How many?
Two out of five.
Okay, so you did stop at five. Well, beyond that, there was just some extra ones that if we just have the time, I'll throw in too. But yeah, like 20 honorable mentions.
20 honorable mentions.
How about you, Tony?
I actually, it was a bit of a struggle, picking five movies that I'm looking forward to seeing this year. Like I've seen a couple that are coming out that like I saw because of film festivals. So I can't really say that I'm looking forward to them. And so the ones that I ended up picking, I kind of had to scour all genres to see what is coming out and say, oh yeah, that's something that I'm excited about. So I've got two out of the five movies are horror movies, but the other three are not.
Great.
All
So
right.
yeah, I got my list up and running. I stopped at writing down seven, so I got a couple in there I can throw in.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, because I was like, man, like I said, I don't read up enough about them, so I'm like, I'm not gonna have much to say in the first place unless you guys have something to say. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You are listening to Coast to Coast Film Reviews with Raj and David. Let's talk movies.
Hello, everyone. This is your captain speaking. If you'll return your seatbacks to their upright positions, fasten your seatbelts, and observe the no smoking signs, we'll prepare to take off on another episode of Coast to Coast Film Reviews. I'm your host, Raj, and here he is, a man strong enough to bend records with his bare hands, able to tell tall tales in a single breath. It's David.
Hello, everybody. And I've been working out. It's to bend all those LPs.
It's a lot of work. Well,
I try to piss off as many hipsters as I can.
Well, I think you got them on the run there. Hipsters don't work out at all, right? So.
No, if you bend their records, they're really pissed.
You're bending their records. So
Yeah.
They're gonna be pissed as hell. We have a special guest on the show today. One Mr. Tony Wash is here joining us. Tony,
How you guys doing?
Doing great, doing great.
We're
Thanks for
doing
coming on
great.
to talk with us tonight, Tony.
I mean, I might actually jump off early now that you're talking about Ben and records. I have.
oh, you've offended our guest.
I am far from hipster though. If you
I won't lie. I have a few in my collection.
You have to appease him.
I tend to talk trash about the hipster clan.
I got a couple VHS laying around too. I just don't watch them anymore.
I do too. I actually still have a VCR hooked up to a 65-inch flat screen, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but no, it's still.
Well, you know what? I was on this group and people are buying illegally made copies of movies. Like I seen it specifically for like Midsummer, Hereditary. They're paying somebody to steal IP and put it on a VHS so they can watch it that way. And that just blew my mind. Why would you want to watch this film on VHS, let alone commit IP theft for it? But hey, to each your own.
Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting because my first feature, It's My Party and I'll Die If I Want To, had a guy who was doing VHSs for like independent films. He was running, it was called Vultura Video, and he contacted us about putting It's My Party on VHS. And so I was like, well, hell yeah, that sounds awesome. Let's do it. And so we ended up getting maybe 200 copies run up, and I picked up, I think, 50 copies from him of the 200. And he had like a subscription-based program, so I know that he ended up getting rid of a lot of his copies. But like, I take him to the conventions and stuff, and I don't see people picking up stuff like that. And granted, if you're not a fan of my movie, then you're not going to pick it up on VHS. And it's also Choose Your Own Adventure on the DVD. So, when people hear that, they're like, oh, well, I want the DVD. I don't want the VHS. But it's kind of weird because I understand the appeal to having VHS, but, technologically speaking, there's no point,
Yeah. Well, it seems to be dying off a bit. Like, 5 years ago, almost every underground filmmaker, indie horror, it was almost like they had to make a VHS just for the collectors, and I'm not seeing it as much anymore. So I don't know if maybe that craze is starting to see the end of its time.
It's interesting because I think that it shifted to now soundtracks from movies being put on vinyl.
Oh yes,
which we did with Skeletons in the Closet, and it turned out great. I'm so happy with the quality of it, and again, being a vinyl collector myself, it's such a cool thing to have one of your movie soundtracks on vinyl, and we did a cool iridescent kind of neon green record, and so it turned out really neat.
Yeah, I saw a picture of that. That was a really cool looking piece of vinyl too.
Don't bend it in half.
No, I'll try not to.
David has threatened your work.
I usually save that for people's ABBA collections.
Your brute strength and your distance.
So we have Tony Wash on the show. He is director and producer of the movie The Rake from 2018, and is it okay to say co-director of Skeletons in the Closet?
Yeah.
Okay. Also 2018.
Yep.
Okay, and we'll be hitting those. We're going to be poking your brain on that in segment 2, but we ask if you will be patient and enjoy with us our first segment on upcoming movies in 2020. So, Tony, if you would like to start us off, tell us something that you are looking forward to this year.
So we just kind of running through our list and discussing, or are we doing one at a time, or what?
Oh yeah.
We'll do round robin. So you'll pick out one, and we'll talk a little bit about it, and then so on and so forth.
Sorry, we gave you no heads up on how we're doing this. This is all just we're just like, Tony, go, yeah.
Not on the spot at all.
So no, it's fine. So the first one is it's coming out Friday, actually, that Underwater movie with Kristen Stewart. It's blatant Alien Leviathan type ripoff, but I'm a huge sucker for people trapped in a confined space with some sort of monster. So I'm really excited for the potential, and actually just saw someone commented on Facebook saying that it was actually a pleasant surprise. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was looking at too, because it's so hard to find good movies in the theater in January, since it's unfortunately their studio puts a lot of stuff to die. So yeah, I'm thinking I might go see that this week too. I haven't been to the theater in about a month, so I've been jonesing. So that's probably one I'm gonna have to check out. Either that, or I have to go see 1917, since you saw that this week, Raj. So
we're gonna talk about that one. I'll save that for the third segment. But the Underwater, twice now I went to the theater where the trailer played, and you know how at the end of the trailer it starts spelling UNDE. It's, you know how it spells that out? Right after under and then the W comes out, 2 times, 2 separate occasions, 2 different theaters, someone has yelled out underwear. And I was like, no way. The first time, I didn't know what I heard. I was like, that's so funny. And the second time, I busted out laughing. I was like, no way. I was like looking around, seeing if it was the same person. Who are you?
I mean, I think that's just I think that's a product of our society. I mean, literally, as you were saying that, I was like, he's going to go there, and you went there. So we're all on the same page with our immaturity.
Yeah, good old lowbrow humor. Keep us all entertained. Well, you want me to go next, my friend?
Yes, go for it.
The first one I'm gonna mention. This has already hit the film festival circuit, so I'm not sure if I know Tony might have seen this one by now, but I haven't yet. It's Color Out in Space, directed by Richard Stanley, who hasn't directed in film, and God, it's got to be close to 25 years now. But I'm a huge H.P. Lovecraft fan. I've been since I was probably 10 years old, since I was old enough to read, sci-fi horror literature. And this is one of my favorite stories by him. It's a short story that is about a family that's having an issue of farming on their little plot until a meteor comes down, and everything starts working out for them, but it causes some other issues. It's starring one of our favorites here at Coast to Coast, Nicolas Cage.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I saw one review where they kind of let him go all out being Nicolas Cage. And the film, I know the story is about going crazy. So having Nicolas Cage in a role where he can go crazy it's always going to be great.
That's gold.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm really looking. It's also produced by Spectre Vision. That's Elijah Wood's company. So we seem to talk about Elijah Wood quite often too, but so shout out to Elijah.
Get him on the show too.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. Do you know Elijah? You know his company and everything.
Get him on and we'll just keep on pretending he's Daniel Radcliffe.
Wait, why? I don't know.
Just keep on confusing him.
Yeah, I mean, Spectre Vision's been a staple in independent horror for the last 5 or 6 years. I mean, they just keep pumping out, stuff that fans are going nuts over. My fiance and I watched a bunch of movies to review for Nightmares Film Festival, which is out of Ohio, and we watched Daniel Isn't Real. And that was one of the movies during our segment about movies we've seen recently that I was going to talk about. It was easily in my top 3 favorite movies from last year, from 2019. And I thought that they did a spectacular job with that film.
Yeah, and last year they did, or 2018, I'm still thinking last year, they did Mandy, which was one of my favorite horror films of the year. So yeah, they're putting out good movies. The Greasy Strangler was one of theirs too, which is just such a strange movie, but I really like it.
The Greasy Strangler?
You have not seen The Greasy Strangler?
No, that sounds funny though.
Oh my God, you're hurting yourself.
Yeah, how have you not seen that movie?
It's God, it's like 2 Davids on this show. Damn it.
It's so strange. It's just a very, very strange film. I don't know if it's a comedy. I don't know what the hell to label that film, but it's worth seeing.
It's Napoleon Dynamite meets Silence of the Lambs.
Oh man, that's a great tagline for it.
It's like if Patrick Bateman was Napoleon Dynamite.
There you go.
Yeah, it's super weird, but it is so good, especially if you can watch it with a crowd of people that appreciate batshit horror films.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm writing it down. Is it on any popular platform?
It was on Amazon Prime for a little while, but I don't believe it is anymore.
I will look for it.
Yeah, you can find it in different places, but it's pretty popular. You'll see, if you ever frequent horror conventions, you'll see people walking around with a pink Greasy Strangler like ski cap on.
Okay.
They sold those for a while. But yeah, that's another really good Spectre Vision movie. But I mean, they've had so many, you know. I mean, besides Mandy and you know, obviously you're saying Color Out of Space and Daniel Isn't Real. They did Cooties, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they did. I didn't realize they did Toad Road. That was their first film, and that's 2012, and that was a really good one too. I didn't realize that was them until I pulled it up. But yeah, Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, which was Iranian, I believe, or that was a Middle Eastern film, and that's a really good one too. So they have a good catalog.
I hadn't watched that one. I started Toad Road and just couldn't finish it. It was just too. I don't really know what to say about how I felt about it. It was like almost too independent. Like
yeah, it's very slow.
Yes. They did. I think they did Open Windows, which starred Elijah Wood. They did. I don't remember what else, but yeah, they've done a whole bunch of different films. I actually met Elijah Wood at the Stanley Film Festival in 2014. They were there with Open Windows and what other movie were they promoting there at that time? I can't recall at the top of my head, but it was really cool to meet, you know, him. I mean, obviously, I'm 39 years old, so I've been watching Elijah Wood act in movies, you know, The Good Son and North, and you know, it's like to then be standing next to him, talking to him for a minute, shaking his hand. It was pretty damn cool.
Yeah, and he really loves the genre. So when he was going to act in the Maniac remake, a lot of people were pissed off, and I was happy because I knew how much he loved the genre, and he did an awesome job. So I always have respect for Elijah.
That is such a cool movie.
Oh, it's amazing. We did a list last month of best horror remakes, and that was on my list. And I love the original. That holds a very special place in my heart. But the remake, they knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like the original is a classic for so many different reasons, but the remake is just so inventive, and it all being from his perspective, and even just like even if I only was a fan of one part of it, it's that whole sequence where he kills the girl that's not only listening to Q Lazarus, Goodbye Horses, but he looks like Buffalo Bill when he's got the wig on.
Yep.
That's such a cool homage to Silence of the Lambs that I ate that up.
Yeah, that is a great part of the film. So let's go with your pick, my friend Raj.
Oh, all right. Be ready to be disappointed because mine are not artistic at all.
New Mutants.
Hey, that may or may not be on my list. When we get to it, we'll talk about it. God damn it! So first, let me see which is most impressive. Of course, Dr. Dolittle, only titled Dolittle. Now, Robert Downey Jr. is in this role, and the only reason I really want to see it. If it was another Eddie Murphy, Dr. Dolittle, I probably wouldn't care. But I'm interested in seeing where they're going after their Marvel careers have ended, basically. Although I did hear there might be a cameo role for Robert in an upcoming Marvel movie. I'm not sure if that's worth anyone's time. But, yeah, Dolittle. I mean, in the parts of the trailer that I saw, he almost looks like some kind of weird Wonka-like character. And I'm like, can he really make this his own sort of thing? I don't see like a franchise being built off of this, but I'm not sure what kind of adventure story they have set up for this character coming out next week, right? January 17th.
Oh, it's going to be terrible then.
Yeah,
if it's a studio film coming out in January, it's absolute dreck.
Poor Robert.
But doesn't he have enough money? Like, shouldn't he be doing like underground horror at this point just for the love? Like, he's so fucking rich, he should be doing movies for free.
Unless
now he's doing it for the children.
Unless he just doesn't like underground horror, then he's definitely not going to do it. But yeah, I mean, I think isn't Robert Downey Jr. worth like $700 million after Endgame?
What's your guys' guess? David, go on. But
he's at least $500 million. I would say he's at least $500 million.
Yeah, I'd say $700 million.
Wait, how much? What was your donate? 700 billion?
700 million.
Million. I'm not that insane.
I just thought it was just ridiculous.
I say at least a $500 million.
Oh, that's pretty close. 300 million according to Google.
Oh, God.
Like, I don't understand. Like, what do you do with that much money? Like, at that point, like I watched Joker last night, and I know that Joker made like $700 million in the theater or something, and it's like
it broke $1 billion.
Oh, okay. So if it broke $1 billion, I noticed that Bradley Cooper's a producer on it, and it's like, okay, so Bradley Cooper, who's an actor who's only been really acting in movies for what, maybe a decade. It's like now here's this guy who's 40 years old, been acting for 10 years, is a pretty famous A-list actor. Not to mention the fact that now he's also pretty much a billionaire because he's a producer on one of the most successful comic book movies of all time. It's just like, what do you do with that money? Just keep making movies, I guess.
Well, you got to think, because it was like a $60 million budget. So even if he only threw 10% in, getting a 10% investment, he's turning $6 million into $100 million.
It's funny. It says, "Who needs Batman?" Officially, Joker is the first $1 billion R-rated movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the highest grossing R-rated movie in the history of movies.
Wow.
It was. I really enjoyed it. Like I agree 100. We're totally going on a tangent. You understand?
That's our show. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's.
I was gonna say, you have me on your show, you're gonna be on tangents because I am the king of tangents. But I really appreciate that a lot of people have compared it to Taxi Driver because I think it is very similar thematically to Taxi Driver, and I enjoyed that a lot about it.
Yeah, people that they knocked it for that. A lot of people, and I didn't think it was derivative. I feel that it was, it was thematically similar, but it was because of the love of the film. I don't think it was trying to be derivative, and it was one of my favorite films of the year. And I think people hate it. A lot of people hate it just because of how big it was. But if it would have been a bomb, it would have been even more loved.
Yeah, and I think that, like, it's a testament to kind of how our society is nowadays. You look at Taxi Driver was a statement about where we were in society in the 1970s, and I think that it's very similar kind of feeling nowadays. And so it just seemed to mimic that in that regard, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, it's such a great film.
I never asked David this, but now that you both are fans and you have that, you have this kind of familiarity with that era, what decade would you place that movie in? Because it's not really modern. Because whenever they depict Gotham, it's always like these 50s style looking cars and the attire they wear. What decade would you say they're trying to show in the movie?
I think I got a late 70s feel to it.
It was the theater at the end when the Waynes are leaving the theater.
Yeah,
there's
Zorro.
It was The Mask of Zorro. I forgot the other movie. And then Wolfen. There was a poster for Wolfen on the wall in the alley. So that's what, 79, 80, 81, somewhere around there.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Because because
cars were all 70s, and there was a couple early 80s cars, I want to say.
Because I feel like that gets all mashed up when it comes to the actual Batman lore. Because those were the original. The Zorro was the original film that from the actual Wayne history, from what I remember. Like it's from the backstory. But then when you look at the cartoons and stuff, it's always been just stuck in the 40s, stuck in the 50s. Those long. I don't even know what type of vehicles they are, but those long vehicles, and I guess the Batmobile also looks like that. I don't know how he makes those corners with that thing going with this rocket engine bullshit car. But yeah, like I was always confused because it's supposed to be modern, but then also it looks older. It's like it's confused me.
Yeah, I think they pretty much said we don't really care about the source material. We're going to make what we want, and they did it as a standalone, and of course they're going to make a remake. I mean, a sequel. They swore to God they weren't going to make it, and then it hit $1 billion. You're going to make a sequel, whether you like it or not.
Oh man, $1 billion. Everyone wants to make a sequel then. 1.02 billion for Joker. Second place was 785 million for Deadpool 2, 783 million for Deadpool, 742 million for Matrix Reloaded back in 2003, 700 million for It from 2017, and one of my all-time favorites, Logan from 2017 with 619 million.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
God, that is so amazing. And what, like, as a filmmaker, I think the biggest thing that really just, I guess, disappoints me about independent filmmaking is that you have that potential, not that grandiose potential, but every movie has the potential to receive that large of a gap between the budget cost and the profit margin if you put a lot of money and time into promoting the film appropriately. And I just don't think that a lot of movies have that opportunity, you know, to promote a movie as much as these theatrical films.
Well, I think the negative press played so much into it as well. Because before this film even came out, there was so much negative press. And once I saw the film, I was like, I have no idea what the hell they were talking about in the press because, you know, the whole thing, it's going to incite incels to go around shooting everybody and this and that. And it didn't even make sense to what the themes of the film were. So I don't know if they were paying CNN just to run terrible reviews about it or what, but, you know.
I was wondering if part of it was because of what happened the opening day or night with Dark Knight. What happened, and where was that, in Colorado somewhere?
Yeah,
and everyone was thinking it was Batman related, but it wasn't. Apparently, the guy mentioned or something that he just was looking for a busy night, a busy opening night. It wasn't even related to. It had nothing to do with Joker. Had nothing to do with Batman movies.
They played off of that. They pretended like the guy was out there pretending he was the Joker, and
right.
that was all made up by the press.
Well, someone banked.
Hey, somebody made some money.
Yeah, sadly.
So, Tony, go. Let's hear your next pick.
Give us another.
Yeah, I was going to say, at this rate, we're going to be on this segment for about 2 hours.
We got.
Well, I really want to see 1917. I think Sam Mendes is a tremendous director, and the film looks really awesome, and I love war films, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, just from what I've heard about the cinematography, I'm interested in seeing it just because of that. How many long shots and how they were supposed to be able to make shots that were multiple shots look as one. And I know Raj saw that, so he'll be talking about that a little bit later on, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, well then, David?
My number 2 is going to be Green Knight. My second film is. This is directed by David Lowery, who did A Ghost Story, which I love. I love that film so much. So this is his follow-up to it. It's a medieval fantasy film. I haven't tried to read too much about it, but he's attached. So that's one I'm definitely going to be seeing as soon as I possibly can.
Green Knight. You said starring who?
I don't even know who's starring. Oh, the main star's Dev Patel.
Oh,
get a little Indian American.
I think he's Indian. Don't make assumptions.
Oh, his name's Dev Patel.
Yeah, it's pronounced Dev. Okay.
Like my last name's Scorsese. Don't assume that I'm Italian. You know?
Scorsese. Is it Knight, Knight, or because I was trying to look it up?
Knight. I thought I said medieval fantasy. You might have got that, but
shoot. Tough. I listened to every other word. Okay. All right. Another one that I'm looking forward to is Quiet Place 2. Although I'm kind of scared because I was happy enough with the way the first one ended, and I didn't check if Krasinski is directing this one too. But if everyone, I think the usual gripe about it was, why are you having a baby in a world where you need to be quiet? So like it seems to be the least quietest thing to do
my
the
whole
labor,
family
but
would
the
be dead.
baby can be. Yeah.
We've been the first ones dead in that story.
This is like, come on. Wait, were you the one who said in the last show or someone was like, what, does nobody cough in this world?
Yeah, no one coughs. Nobody has a sneezing fits.
Well, they're all dead.
Yeah.
Despised the first Quiet Place.
That movie didn't do it. The first one didn't do it for me. I was real excited to see it because all the press that it got and everybody loved it. It was an average horror film to me.
Yeah, it was okay. It really had a lot of loopholes here and there. I
read five pages of the script and said, "Okay, this is terrible. All right, we're not making it."
For all the descriptions about how the characters move around, was it just he quietly moved? He quietly.
Yeah, there's not much dialogue in it, obviously.
And maybe I'm too analytical, but if something is very sensitive to sound, wouldn't you have realized a long time ago that really loud sounds would cause some issues?
I just don't understand how, if a world is inhabited by monsters that, in general, whether they're attacking by sound or anything, if a world's inhabited by monsters, if a world's inhabited by rabid wolves, why would you be walking with your 5-year-old child in the back? Why would you not have the adults at the head and the rear of a it's like these people clearly didn't watch a war movie or any military training whatsoever, because you're never supposed to let a 5-year-old lead up the rear,
And do you remember the scene where he's screaming at the waterfall? I'm like, first of all, who's figured that out? Someone just like stubbed their toe on a rock in the stream, like, hey, nobody showed up and killed me. Like, what? How do you figure that out? And then second, don't even do that. You don't have to scream in the waterfall. You're like, don't take that risk. It means certain death. These things fly out of nowhere to eat your heads or whatever the hell they're doing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And all that time, Jim never stubbed his toe. And like yelled, "Oh fuck!"
He's a God-fearing man. He never has once used his God's name in vain. Never cusses. Okay, it's those people that will survive that apocalypse.
Okay. Well, Tony, we can go with your next one.
I'm looking forward to seeing the Dune remake.
Oh, that's late in the year, right? November or something? When is that supposed to come out?
I don't know when it's coming out. I like the original one, the David Lynch Dune, and as weird as it is, and I just think that Villeneuve or whatever the hell his name is, I think he's a really good director, and you really can't go wrong with the production design and just the overall grandiose scope of a film like Dune. I just think it's going to be really impressive, and I'm such a big fan of movies like Alien and Blade Runner that I feel like it has to be really impressive visually.
Yeah, I think, and I was wondering when they were talking about that coming out, they did that documentary, Jodorowsky's Dune. I wonder if that really started getting people to think again about remaking that film, because it's such a great documentary too. But I'm curious to see what Denis can do with this type of source material.
Yeah, December 18th, 2020. You got us all pining to see this. It's like a full year. Jeez.
Well, hey, they got to put it out, get some Oscar votes.
It's so crazy when you see some of these trailers and it's like 6-8 months. Like, ugh. That's why I don't watch trailers anymore. It's just too hard on my heart. Can't do it. It just hurts.
Well, you're still in your young 30s, Once you hit 40, that 12 months goes by real fast.
I'm literally just gonna say that, David. It's so funny. I remember being a kid and just being like, God, I can't wait a year to see this movie. And now I feel like movies on DVD by the DVD shit. I'd sound like I'm in 1999. A movie on VOD, like the day after I see the trailer.
Oh yeah, if you got to wait 3 months to buy a physical copy, you're like, what the fuck's going on now? It was in a movie theater a full 3 months ago.
Is that what the kids are saying nowadays? VOD? Is it, or are you the only one? Because I've never heard that before.
Video on demand.
Yeah.
I only say VOD because I'm a filmmaker, so I understand distribution. I mean, that's VOD.
Oh.
Yeah, the plebes, they say streaming.
I went from you guys telling me how much of a kid I am to feeling really old in like less than a minute. You dropped VOD, I was like, oh my gosh, I never say that.
No, I utilize that as a technical term.
Oh, okay. That feels better.
I think David's right. People call it streaming.
Oh, okay. I think I say that often enough.
Or digital release. I mean, there's multiple different ways you can say the same thing.
I still feel cool.
Don't the kids say stupid shit like Netflix and chill or whatever the hell that is?
I think that's more just hookup related, isn't it? Although we don't have to go into that.
Yeah, you don't even get to finish the movie. So I'm old. I'm like, you know what? Just can we finish the movie first? I'm really interested in this right now.
And I just fall asleep before the end.
Yeah, and you just fall.
This is the worst date ever.
Well, let me go with my next one. And I know almost absolutely nothing about this film, but I know who's involved. So I really am ready to see Last Night in Soho, directed by Edgar Wright. It's supposed to be a psychological horror. And that's pretty much all I know about it, except for it does star Anya Taylor-Joy, who was Thomasin in The Witch. So I think it's going to be an interesting movie. Anytime Edgar Wright does a film, I'm going to watch it.
I was looking forward to that one too, just in regards to the fact that, like you said, they have nothing about it out there except that it's supposedly straight horror, and I think he's a really good filmmaker, so I'm excited too.
Yeah, it's being put out by Focus Features, and they usually put out good material as well.
Oh, so I'm glad to hear you say something nice about another production company. Other than the usual.
Two in one show, and I haven't even brought up A24 yet.
I know. Oh, but you had to say it. Just saying it it makes my blood curdles a little bit. I've heard it so much in the last 3 months.
I'm kind of done on that bender because I think I've seen every film that I really want to see that is out.
Oh, don't let your fans...
I got I'm not. I got so tired of the coming of age tales. It's like half their movies are coming of age tales, and I can only watch so many of those.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with my April 8th release of the next Bond movie. There is just no time for dying. It is called No Time to Die. It's either this is not the time to die, or there's no longer any time for death. So I'm not sure what the title implies, but Bond just has no time for it.
Is this the one that has a Jewish black lesbian Bond?
There is a black woman. Oh, okay. I am familiar with a few scenes from the trailer. I'm not sure if she's Jewish, David.
No, they're just trying to put it. Who has seen the trailer. Put it all out there to piss everybody off.
Oh. Is it? I'm not even sure if it's that same. I feel like when I saw her for a brief second and then closed my eyes, if it was her from Queen and Slim, I wanted to say so, but then I was like, well, if I take a guess, then I might just be racist because, like, oh, black woman. Is it from that other movie with a black woman? So I feel like I'm just being a dick. So.
Or how you call the one guy, the Get Out guy?
The Get Out guy. But not the main Get Out guy, because I already forgot his name, too. Not main Get Out guy with the bulgy eyes. The other Get Out guy.
You're talking about the guy who's already taken over.
Yeah, the guy who said the words Get Out.
Yeah, he was in Uncut Jewels, the Get Out guy.
Yeah, him. You know what I'm talking about. That's just his name now, because I don't have to look it up. You know what I'm talking about.
I know you're talking about.
But yeah, this is supposed to be, from what I heard, it was just going to be a one-off, because he said he was done with the whole Bond series, and now this came out, and just from the pictures that I've seen, man, the guy looks like he's either extremely old and not eating, or this is in preparation for the role where he looks really gaunt, and they're just going to put layers of suits on him to build up that physique. But I know he doesn't. My co-host here isn't a big fan of the Bond series. What about you, Tony?
My brother was a really big fan of them, like when we were growing up. So I've seen a lot of them, and they used to be on TV all the time. So I like the Bond movies for what they are. The new ones, I think Daniel Craig is a really good James Bond. I think he's certainly better than some of the previous ones. I wasn't a big fan of like Pierce Brosnan.
He was such a classic.
I mean, he was appropriate for that time period. I feel like he perfectly fit the James Bond persona for the late 90s, that type of filmmaking. But I think Daniel Craig is a really good, realistic James Bond. And yeah, I mean, Skyfall's a tremendous film.
And that's what 1917 from the producers or director of Skyfall, wasn't it?
Yeah, Sam Mendes, I had breakfast with him one morning. I went on Road to Perdition and had breakfast with him and didn't even realize it. I was a PA with the Illinois Film Office my senior year of college and was on set for the first day, kind of helping with locations coordination and extras coordination. And I'm sitting there eating breakfast, and he's sitting at the table, like literally right across from me. Get up and walk away or whatever, and somebody happened to mention that was him, and I was like, holy shit! I just had breakfast sitting across a 2-foot wide table with the guy who directed American Beauty. Like I
Oh man, that's awesome.
It's to be directed by Cary Fukunaga of the True Detective series. Thought you might be interested in that, David. So maybe you take a look when it comes out.
Oh, or it just might be a cash grab for him.
Could be, but you could take a look. It's a Bond movie. At least let this be your first one for a reason.
All right, Tony, what's the next one on your list?
Bill and Ted's.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of. I remember going to see the first one in the theater with my aunt when I was a kid. She took my brother and I, and I've always been a big fan of them, and I really like Keanu Reeves a lot. So I'm really excited to see how they bring them back in their 40s, or I guess he's probably 50 now. Shit.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I went through. I used to like. I like Bill and Ted's, and I like Keanu back then. But then I went through like the mid 90s to probably about 10 years ago, who I could not stand Keanu Reeves. I was like, he's the worst actor in Hollywood. And now I love Keanu Reeves again.
Who hates him, actually? Like, he has
he's so
like
wooden
a persona now.
I like Keanu when he's either playing Bill or he doesn't speak much.
See, I don't think. Like, I understand why people have, like, this spite towards him because he doesn't seem like he's a good actor. But like I just and like you look at a movie like Bram Stoker's Dracula and you're just like, he's so inappropriately cast as Jonathan Harker. But at the same point in time, Winona Ryder wasn't much better.
No. But then you have him going up against Gary Oldman. That's not even fair for most actors.
Yeah. No, exactly. But at the same point in time, then I mean, you just have to look at the films that he's been in. His catalog of work alone is so impressive that you have to respect him as an actor and as an icon at this point. I mean, he was in Speed, which is easily one of the most successful action films from the 90s.
Yeah.
He was in Point Break, which is such a good fucking movie.
Yeah.
So I just, as much as I thought he was pretty hokey, in the 90s when he was kind of in his like mid-20s, like surfer dude period, like then he hit the Matrix trilogy, and it's just like, I mean, this guy is, and now with the John Wick films, I mean, I don't know if he's really made very many bad films.
Well, and his commitment to his roles, the physicality of them, is unprecedented. It's the way he works out and just the stories of his work ethic and the fact that he's like one of the nicest dudes in Hollywood. Everybody says that. Just he draws people towards him, I think.
And he donates millions of dollars a year apparently to helping like needy children and and yeah, like I'm impressed with just everything about him, like who he is, what he stands for. He reminds me a lot of like kind of like the whole Brad Pitt persona where, he's just constantly trying to do good things with his good fortune,
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
Well, let me go to my next one here. It was an A24 film, Raj. A24 horror film called Saint Maud.
Oh,
Again, this is one that I've tried not to read too much about, but it's a psychological horror. It seems to be dealing with Catholicism and possession. So, with A24 on, it should take a nice artistic view of it. But yeah, that's on my list. I think that's out pretty soon. Maybe in March or so. So not too far off.
Yeah, like there are just certain categories of movies that just must be created every year, right? Like I feel like since Exorcist, has there been at least one possession movie every year? And then as it's become easier to make these films, it's just become 1, 2, like 7, 8 movies a year on possession and exorcism and, Catholicism and in that respect.
But there's very few good ones.
Yeah.
It's like zombie films.
Oh, that's
it's
true.
so overdone, but you can find a couple that are just absolutely brilliant. So we'll see. We'll see what they do with it, but it's going to be an art house horror film, so they're going to have to put a lot of thought into it usually. So it could be great, it could be an absolute disaster, but I'd like to see what they're going to do with it.
It's already got a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 7.1 on IMDb. Watch out.
Oh, yeah, it's already hit the film festival circuit, so we will see.
It's already hit the film festivals. That's okay. Because otherwise, I'm like, how are people rating it if no
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it came out at TIFF. Looks like it did Fantastic Fest. So it's done a couple.
People are just rating that trailer. It's like, wow, what a trailer! 91. 91% trailer.
And Danny Boyle was talking it up too, and I love Danny Boyle, so I'll go with his. I'll go with his take. If Danny Boyle says it's a good film, I'll give it a chance.
Yeah, that's definitely a recommendation. I would listen to.
There is a Christopher Nolan movie coming out July 17th. I think it's pronounced Tenet. It's so like I don't watch anything, so all I know is it's something about some kind of special agent and perhaps even time manipulation, and I love time travel stuff. So Christopher Nolan, time travel, I'm all in. July 17th though. Damn it, I hate these long waits.
Yeah, he likes messing with time, doesn't he?
Yeah, wait. Why? What's another one?
Memento.
Oh, right.
Inception. What, Insomniac? Or he is dealing with like issues with 24-hour sunshine. So he time has a lot of. It's a big theme for him.
Yeah, it looked good. It was, I think I managed to see all of it. It was like a teaser trailer, but it was just this trippy kind of screen twisting. You don't really understand what's happening. And then the guy in an oxygen mask, and then boom, that was it. I was like, I don't remember much of it, but yeah, that looks really interesting. I'm excited for that. Tony.
Right.
Nope.
My the fifth thing that I'm really looking forward to this year is The Haunting of Bly Manor. Which is going to be the Netflix series that follows up The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh,
I don't even think I paid attention to that one.
Yeah, I thought The Haunting of Hill House is one of the best made, limited series I've ever seen, and Mike Flanagan just continues to hit it out of the park. There's a handful. I didn't really care much for his earlier work, but everything that he's done in the last couple of years is just super impressive to me.
Yeah, I watched this week or last week and a half. I did Oculus and Hush. So yeah, I'm a Mike Flanagan fan.
Yeah, I liked Oculus. That was one of my favorite. After a long time not seeing horror movies, I saw Oculus. And I was like, yes. Still got it.
And from what I've read briefly on that, he's supposed to be directing every episode too, isn't he?
I don't know, because there's another Netflix series that he is developing as well. I don't remember what it's called. I want to say it starts with the letter M or something like that.
I could have got mixed up with one of the other ones he's doing. I know he's supposed to be directing a whole series, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know if he's just kind of like handling the story and producing of Bly Manor. But I'm a big fan. Like, my favorite subgenres of horror are haunted houses and creature films. So to me, like, The Haunting of Hill House was just the perfect, combination of really good storytelling and character development with awesome, ominous atmosphere. And so if Haunting of Bly Manor is anything like that, I think it's going to be out of the park.
Did you see Dr. Sleep? I just found out recently that he wrote and directed it.
Oh God!
Oh yeah.
I saw it twice in the theater. It was my favorite movie, I'd say, of the past decade.
I thought it was really good. I felt like when I was reading about it after I saw it, people were comparing it like, oh, they were trying to play off of The Shining's success, or that it wasn't a good enough sequel. I didn't really care about The Shining. I mean, against, a lot of the backlash, mostly just David hating on me about not liking The Shining. But I felt like Dr. Sleep could have been just a standalone on its own. A lot of people were like, oh, but you won't get this and that, or you won't get these references. And I have seen Shining, but watching Dr. Sleep, I felt like they gave just enough backstory to keep it a little bit of a mystery, or at least it's a mystery enough to go through the movie and solve and figure out Danny's past. And I really liked it. I thought it was really, it had some kind of, like the X-Men kind of mutants. There was like, oh, some other powers and stuff shared amongst people. But Danny kind of, now he's an adult, and now he has to sort of pass on something. He has some knowledge. He has to help someone else. And I was like, oh, it's a really, really, what's the word? Like, really well thought out whole script to create on its, to stand on its own. And I really liked it.
Yeah. I that's one of the films that was on my movies recently seen list that we would talk about later. I loved it. I mean, like I said, if someone had to say right now off the top of your head, what's your favorite movie of the last decade, I would say Dr. Sleep. And I'm such a big fan of Stephen King stuff in the first place. And Kubrick's The Shining is in my top 3 favorite movies of all time. So for him to not only create a sequel to a story that I love, but play such a wonderful homage to the original film that, there's so many great references in it. There's so many wonderful recreations that take us fans back to that movie. Mm-hmm. And then just other subtleties in it that I thought were really great too. I mean, even how well they were able to make Ewan McGregor look like Jack Nicholson at different points in the movie was really impressive to me. And obviously going back to the Overlook Hotel after 40 years was just like it was a dream come true for someone who's such a diehard fan like I am.
Yeah, I still have not seen that yet. I miss it in the theaters, but that's probably when I'll be buying the day that it comes out. So I look forward to that one.
David, you haven't seen Dr. Sleep. Well, how can you call yourself a human being? You're a terrible person. Blah, 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 blah,
blah. You're like, it comes out in February. I'm really excited to get the Blu-ray because apparently the director's cut is on there, which is like 26 minutes longer.
Yeah, I heard that.
But I'll tell you what, you're going to kick yourself for not seeing it in the theater. It's one of those movies that you needed to see it on the big screen, because it's just got some beautiful shots in it. They actually use some of the footage from the original movie, like some of the aerial work at the beginning of the original Shining when they're
the mountain pass. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite opening shots.
Yeah,
well, let me go. I'm going to go to the film that I think I am most anticipating.
Oh, you're saving it.
It's from a screenwriter that he's probably the best that ever did it. Him and Paul Schrader, I think, are the 2 greatest screenwriters in the history of screenwriting. But This is Charlie Kaufman's I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
Hmm.
Charlie Kaufman is the writer. He's also directing it. But it's based on a book I never read by Ian Reed. There's not much out there about it. I know it's considered it's claimed to be a drama, but it does have some horror leanings. Um, what it says is the premise is a man takes his girlfriend to meet with his parents, but they find themselves going on a terrifying detour as it becomes a twisted mix of palpable tension, psychological frailty, and sheer terror. Now, if anybody is familiar with some of Charlie Kaufman's work, Synecdoche, New York, I think is one of the greatest films ever made in the history of film. But he also wrote Eternal Sunshine for a Spotless Mind, and Being John Malkovich, adaptation. So his Dangerous. What is the other one? There's a few of them in there that are just so incredible. And he just loves to mess with your mind. He writes layers upon layers. So I'm very pumped up to see this film.
Oh, adaptation. Was that another you were thinking of?
Yeah, adaptation. Confessions of a Dangerous Mind.
Mm-hmm.
Human Nature. His scripts are just so amazing.
Okay. Is Toni Collette actually in it? Because I was trying to see if she's credited, but it's like there's no character name next to her. It's like, is she in it?
Yeah, I heard that Toni Collette's going to be, but she's like third billing on there. So I don't know. And it's going to be on Netflix, which, Netflix is really doing their thing.
I mean, they just keep pumping them out.
Well,
but
they don't worry about ratings or anything. They've got it made.
Yeah, and God, they're doing some stuff with like art house directors they're almost the top game. Then Amazon's doing the same as well. They're giving a lot of people opportunities to make film. So I'm just really interested to see what Charlie does with this film. Anybody that's a Charlie Kaufman fan, they're definitely going to be looking out for this film.
All right. Well, I will go on to the next Spider-Man villain to take the big screen is going to be titled Morbius, the movie, July 31st. Hey, these Spider-Man movies always do a July thing. What is that? I don't know what that's about. But anyway.
Blockbusters.
Yeah, and it's starting David's favorite Joker, everyone's favorite Joker, Jared Leto.
That sounds terrible.
He's trying a new character. He's like, hey, nobody likes me as Joker. Why not try this vampire creature who's suffering from some rare blood disease? And I'm the villain of Spider-Man. So he's just going from one villain to another. Maybe people love him in this role. I have no clue. But yeah, Morbius.
He switched universes, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't notice that. Yeah, he went from DC to Marvel. And then Marvel's going to kick him out. He's like, oh, there's no universe for me, Jared Leto. Poor guy. I mean, I don't know how much of that was his fault. I don't know how much to blame him because he looked like just a straight up douchebag gangster in that role. I couldn't even believe it.
I don't know why they made him look like an emaciated biker. Like, who thought that was a good idea?
So nasty looking. It's like there was nothing Jokerish about him. He was just some punk guy.
Yeah, he reminded me of like heroin addicts I would see on the streets in Baltimore.
That's offensive to heroin addicts. Jared Leto is offensive. Poor guy. I mean, like I said, not his fault, but he was terrible. So let's see how he does with Morbius.
What do you want to stick with 5 since we filled up our time on this one?
We did. Let me see. Do you have any quick honorable mentions?
Yeah, I'll throw a couple out there. VFW is one that I'm really looking forward to. That's from the director of Bliss, which was one of my favorite horror films of the year. Let's see. Manic. David Fincher is his next film is going to be a Netflix film as well. I don't know much about that one. I haven't even read about it. I just know David Fincher's doing it, so I'll be watching it.
Okay, well, I'll blast through my extras real quick. Sonic, February 14th. Everyone's waiting on that.
Serious?
The new. I didn't say it in the
Your
show. Did I?
timeout.
These are just. I didn't mean to start it off like that. Listen, Tony is being a gentleman and letting me finish the list. David,
No.
Absolute jackass.
I was a kid when Sonic was cool, and I'm not looking now for that.
I'm afraid when I saw that part of the trailer. I was like, oh no.
It's like, what, are you going to eat mushrooms and go see Sonic? I mean,
whatever it takes, David. Whatever.
That's the only way that movie would be entertaining. If you did
Jim Carrey's in it. Jim Carrey lovers, you got to go see it. Come on.
Oh God.
The New Mutants, April 3rd, and it's supposed to be like almost tipping into the horror genre. It's supposed to be like a kind of a horror psychological kind of thing, from what I hear. Let's see. Antlers, which I know nothing about, coming out April 17th. It was I saw a creepy couple of movie posters, and I didn't want to read anything about it. Antebellum, this is one I forgot to mention, actually, April 24th. A psychological thriller. This girl and other
Candyman remake's coming out this year, too.
Candyman, oh yeah. It's not a remake. It's Jordan Peele is doing a sequel.
Yeah, Jordan Peele will fuck up the whole story.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to shit on it, but then you sounded excited about it. Never mind. Because you're not interested. What else? Oh, I can't forget The Rock. He's in Jungle Cruise, July 24th. Monster Hunter, starring Mia Jovovich.
Are you going to pay to go see The Rock in Jungle Cruise?
I will pay because my daughter loves The Rock, and
please feed a starving child. Instead of paying The Rock.
His dog. Oh, I thought you meant his kids.
No.
His kids are getting
Find a starving kid on the street and give him that money you would spend to see Jungle Cruise.
I gladly do that as well. All right, I'm a generous person, kind person. I can do both.
No, you can't.
Monster Hunter, starring Mia Jovovich and Tony Jaa, September 4th. Snake Eyes. This is the G.I. Joe movie spin-off, Snake Eyes, starring Henry Golding. Maybe you've seen him in Crazy Rich Asians, coming out October 16th. The other Marvel movie, the second one, I will not mention Black Widow. I just did. Eternals, coming out November 6th with Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek, Kumail Nanjiani, and Kit Harington. That's what he's doing after Game of Thrones. Godzilla vs. Kong, November 20th. Uncharted, this is what Tom Holland's in, December 18th.
Is that the one based off the video game?
It is. It's kind of like an Indiana Jones thing.
I love the video game, but video game movies never really work.
And the next Tom Hanks movie, Greyhound, about a bus driver. No, it's not. It's a World War II movie coming out May 15th. Don't ask me any more than that. And then there's a Pixar movie called Soul. But they have some weird obsession with death or something going on in Pixar.
And from what I heard, Ricky Gervais has no movies coming out.
He's doing what Tony said Robert Downey Jr. should be doing, just resting with his money. Like, he's already done tons. Like, what does he need to do? People gather in like huge stadiums just to hear him tell the same jokes over and over.
Well, you know what he basically called everybody at the Golden Globes child molesters. You know.
I didn't hear anything about it.
You didn't see that?
I didn't see it. I don't watch the show.
Oh, he made the joke about Epstein not dying, and no one laughed. Or what exactly did he say? He's like, oh, I know he was all your friends. And yeah, the only one who laughed was our good friend Adam Driver.
Yeah.
Everybody else
is awesome.
Hurt. So yeah. Tom Hanks wasn't very happy about the joke. It looked like.
That's whatever. He's sitting there with his family.
Yeah.
He had his 5 kids and his wife sitting there, and they're all pretty prim and proper. So.
Yeah, you shouldn't bring those people. You shouldn't bring your family around Ricky Gervais.
Ricky Gervais is the host. Tom Hanks, you idiot. Whose fault is that? Come on.
Well, he was receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award. You kind of got to. Yeah.
And whose fault is that? Is that Ricky's fault also?
Well, Ricky's been doing the same thing the last 5-6 years, so.
He said this is his last time, right?
Yeah, he says they won't let him back now.
Now it's time for Billy Crystal to make his comeback. That's what David wants.
Yeah, I miss Billy.
Old Billy.
Well, who's
Billy.
doing Oscars this year? I forget who.
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, let me see. Quick. Oscars host.
It's not Kevin Hart.
No. It's official. They won't have a host.
Are they doing that again?
I guess so. It's official, it says. Carrie Burke, entertainment president for ABC's, blah, 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 decision, blah, blah, blah. Second straight year. Oh, too bad.
I never watch it anyway. I just wait for the list to come out.
Exactly.
It'll just give me something to complain about.
Be sure to tune in next week when we have a special return guest. It's a surprise. I'm not going to say who it is. When our top list is going to be a fun one. Top best worst films. So that's going to be a fun one because we'll be able to laugh and hopefully some of you guys will look at these, check these movies out, and you'll agree with us. Or maybe if they're your favorites, you'll probably hate us forever.
Oh, I already have one that's on my queue I need to watch.
Oh, you better not tell me, otherwise I might steal it.
No, you can't steal it. It's on Amazon Prime. It just came on Amazon Prime too.
I'm gonna look through all the new movies on Amazon.
I haven't seen it in so long, so I might have to go revisit that.
All right, let me just. So Tony, every week or so, I try to find try to support some local businesses, and we put them on as a sponsor for the show. You know, just to help out the little guy. So we'll just wrap up the first segment. We'll just wrap up the first segment with this. This portion of Coast to Coast Film Reviews is being brought to you by Tony's No Frills Airlines, no relation to our special guest today. We will fly you anywhere within the continental U.S. for just $14.99. Now, my friends, you may be wondering, how on earth can we keep these prices so low? Easy. We overbook all our flights by 800%. Sure, we bump more passengers than any other 7 airlines combined, but if at the last minute we can't take you where you want to go, do not worry. We'll send your luggage there absolutely free. That's Tony's No Frills Airlines. Book your flight today. So I didn't realize that I put Tony's, and then I was like, oh, we have a Tony on the show. Maybe I need to...
Yeah. Your joke writers need a little work.
Did we lose Tony a long time back?
No, I'm here.
Sorry.
I'm letting you do your thing.
No,
yeah, that's what we all tell him. Let him do his thing.
Jeez. It's to keep myself, entertained, really. These jokes are for no one else to enjoy. All right. Let me do a quick cut here, and then we are going to talk all Tony all night. No, not all night. We don't have all night.